Hi there Wargamers, Jstncloud here with another video in my Tactical Tuesday series, and this week I would like to talk about the troop choices for Tau. Kind of extending my talks last week about Tau HQs. Essentially this week I would like to do the same thing for those players who are new to 40k or new to Tau and are just kind of not sure what to buy or what is what. So first and foremost, again, this week I'm going to be talking about the Tau troop choices. In front of us you can see 5 Fire Warriors, the Cadre Fireblade, and a Ethereal. Now, little disclaimer, I didn't paint the Ethereal. I got it from a guy on Daka a while back. I just haven't gotten around to stripping it and repainting it myself. When he's done, he will cosmetically look very similar to the color schemes here. Now, with that being said, you also do not see Kroot. Little, I wouldn't say little known fact, but kind of a big deal for me. Most people who know me know that I pretty much refuse to play Kroot. Personally, I just don't like the aesthetic. I think they look kind of goofy. But I will talk about them before I analyze the Fire Warriors to get that out of the way. Essentially, if you are considering getting into Tau and you are wanting to choose a troop choice, if you went with the Kroot, you're basically going with a unit that needs to utilize some type of cover or terrain because their armor saves are non-existent. You're also probably using them as some form of a speed bump. They do shoot, they can kind of do melee, they do have access to I believe it's a plasma sniper round. Despite the things they can take, I did not find them appealing enough to take over my Fire Warrior selections. Now, that's not to say they don't have a place. They can serve as a speed bump, as I previously noted, which is something that Tau somewhat lack, but for me personally, I fill that void with allies. If you have not checked out my Tau allies video, I talk about how Space Marines, in particular Codex Marines, work really well with Tau because they fill that melee void that the Tau lack, and their troops are also very resilient, so you can kind of get up in your opponent's face, and it's not as devastating as it is when your opponent gets in the face of a Fire Warrior. Now, transitioning from the Kroot and my distaste for them, hopefully this doesn't come across too biased. I tried to give them the best analysis I could, but I favor the Fire Warriors, and I think a lot of Tau players do. Now, in front of us we've got 5 Fire Warriors. I generally would run squads of 10 to 12. They also, like the Kroot, benefit greatly from cover. So here, this is a Aegis defense line, a portion of one from Brush for Hire. If you have not checked us out, I'll put a link in the description below as usual. And you can see some painted versions. This one's just prime black, hasn't actually got any paint on it. And the acrylic is removable. Get different colors. And yeah, anyways. The Tau benefit greatly, Fire Warriors in particular, with an Aegis defense line because their saves, while better than the Kroot, their Fire Warrior saves aren't that great. You've got a 4-up, which is considerable, but there are a plethora of weaponry that can go through that. And having the 4-up cover save from the Aegis line / being able to go to ground and get a 2-up is pretty amazing. In addition, this thing I'm about to show here is a Forge World Tau turret. I would use this as a count as a quad gun or Icarus las cannon. Additionally, having that in the backfield gives you access to some anti-air options for your Tau if you aren't running some type of an upgrade on a different unit to do so. Also some anti-infantry, and it's just a whole lot of shots, and it's awesome. And the fact that you can utilize marker lights in conjunction with the turret, the quad gun in particular, is really nice because of the number of shots. It really is a good feature, being able to take away cover saves or up your ballistic skill when shooting with it, and it's twin linked. So if you are considering Fire Warriors, you might want to also consider an Aegis defense line. I personally think that, I would like to think that the troop transport Devilfish is viable for Fire Warriors, but having personally tested that out, every turn you're inside of your transport without firing is a turn that stuff's not being removed from the table on your opponent's side. So I have shifted from having transports to move my Fire Warriors closer for having an Aegis line for them to hide behind. The tactic is a little bit bland and boring to play, but yields the best results. Now, moving on from there, as you can see here, this guy's a little bit upgraded. I won't say upgraded, but he's got like a little glowy thing in his hand. and a bonding knife. I generally don't over upgrade my fire warriors, particularly this guy would be your Chesui, I believe is what they're called. Essentially your sergeant for a fire warrior squad. I generally do not buy that upgrade. It's a lot of points to get him to being a sergeant, and it's a lot of points to give him a marker light. I end up finding that while I like the fire warriors over the Kroot, they are just a little bit too fragile to dump a whole lot of points into upgrades. That's not to say they're not useful, but a 12-man squad, you're looking at like 108 points. I'd rather field 208-point squads than one, 12-man squad with an upgraded sergeant and then one squad that's lacking. So, way to fire, so to speak. Now, why do I have a Cadre Fireblade and an Ethereal here? Well, this kind of ties into last week's video. If you are considering getting into Tau, you have hopefully made some ideas or made some potential selections for your HQ choices and have an idea where you would like to go. If you do not, knowing that the Fire Warriors are kind of a staple in a Tau army, you can kind of have that as a guideline for which HQ you would like to choose. Now, Cadre Fireblade is my favorite of the two. If you attach him to a, say, a 12-man strong Fire Warrior squad, let's say you've got your Aegis that they're also behind, and you've got your little quad gun. Put that over here. Sorry for crossing the screen there, guys. Anyways, you got your little quad gun. He is Ballistic Skill 5. He's a good candidate for manning the quad gun because it's twin-linked. He's Ballistic Skill 5, so hitting on 2s, re-rolling, which is really nice. In addition, if you put a 12-man squad of Fire Warriors behind an Aegis line with him, if they do not move up to range 30, they can fire their guns twice, including himself. So 12 guys plus him, so 13, and you're firing at range 30, 2 shots, so 26 shots. Now, if they get into rapid fire range, you get your rapid fire plus an additional shot, so you're now getting 13 times 3, so 39. That's pretty substantial. He clocks in at, I believe, I think he's 60 points, and he's a lot of bang for his buck. On the other hand, you've got the Ethereal here. The benefit he gives to the squads is not so much the joining of squads, they're kind of more meat shields for him, but what he does is if he is near Fire Warriors, he has a variety of different skills that are kind of an area of effect type of skill. If a unit is within a certain range of him, they get to use X ability, or he can use X ability on them. That's really great. He synergizes really well with Fire Warriors. The downside to running him is if you're only running 2 squads of Fire Warriors, I feel that the Fireblade's going to edge him out just a little bit. If you're running, 3, 4, 5, 6 squads of Fire Warriors all blobbed up, kind of lined up, and he is in some way in range of all of them, his ability affects all of them. So his effectiveness goes up exponentially for each additional unit of Fire Warriors that you bring and put on the table around him. So when determining your troop choices, these two benefit the greatest for Fire Warriors if you're going to run multiple units after the 2 required. Or the Fireblade is particularly more for 1 unit, the Ethereal for multiple units. If you are considering running the Crisis Suit Commander or Forge World Person or Commander Shadow Sun, then your Fire Warrior troops aren't getting as much love as you would like. However, for games that have high enough points for you new players to field 2 HQs, and these 2 guys right here, bam bam, are very cheap. So you can field your 2 HQ allotment with a expensive HQ, maybe the Commander or Shadow Sun, and then fill the second one with maybe Fireblade or an Ethereal, or run a Fireblade and the Ethereal. I particularly don't do that because then you have 2 relatively squishy HQs. I kind of like to have someone who can take a hit and then make that one my Warlord, so the Slay the Warlord's not an easy point for my opponent. However, with the HQs here coming in at really cheap prices, it's not too hard to squeeze them in. As I was saying earlier, with this guy being a Sergeant, Chesui I believe, if you knock out upgrades that aren't quite as useful, you can easily fit him or Cadre Fireblade in with the points that you've saved. I mean, 60 points. You're looking at, I think, 25 points just to upgrade him to a Sergeant and give him a Marker Light, which is part of why you'd want to upgrade them. I mean, otherwise you're just paying for the leadership. So keep that in mind when you're trying to determine what you want to put into your Tau army, and feel free to comment below. Let me know how it's working for you, or if perhaps I've overlooked something, or if maybe you're a diehard Kroot fan and you think they're better than the Fire Wars. Feel free to comment below and fill in any gaps I may have missed with them. I know I'm a little biased. I obviously don't care for them. I did try and give them the once over and hit their high notes and low notes as I've done here. Obviously the Fire Wars getting a little bit more attention. HQs really don't benefit Kroot very well, and if you attach an HQ to the Kroot that can't infiltrate, you're kind of hamstringing the Kroot. A little bit more efficient if they infiltrate into a piece of area terrain or something like that. So anyways, as usual guys, if you enjoyed this video and it was in some way helpful for you, please like and subscribe. As I've already noted, please comment below. Let me know what you liked, didn't like. Let me know what you might like me to cover. Let me know what what I may have overlooked, or your general comments. I will try and respond to all those. So without further ado, hope you enjoyed, and happy wargaming.